Oh, oh. Welcome to the episode 7, I think. Could be 8, I think it's 7, of this series of tests on the ability of somebody who's either been devastated in, for example, a nuclear war, colonialism, slavery, whatever, or is just at the very poorest levels of economy, education, etc., in getting them to the space age in a quick manner. I will be playing probably until I get the results of the next increase in healthcare funding. I've been trying to figure out how high I can push these public funding categories before it becomes dominated by that public thing, before the public interest being completed is no longer in the public interest. When increasing the police number actually results in a police state. And the healthcare budget is pretty low, and I'm thinking that we might want to push it to as far as 8. What I'm gonna do with once the next budget estimate comes in is that I'm gonna increase it by 1 and see if we can get this to flatten out at least a little bit. And we might wanna start building hospitals because there are now more doctors for hospital, more doctors than hospital beds, which is a little bit weird, but we'll go with it. But I can do none of these things while the budget estimate hasn't come in. So we'll wait for the budget estimate. Growth is still coming along nicely, as you can see. That's from 1.5 to 1.8. And debt seems to be doing well, still going down. As you might know, it peaked when I nationalized the construction industry to have enough workers for the renewable construction. We did the fourth wave of liberalizations, but none of the laws went through, which means that we're pretty much at the most liberal end of the scale and people don't want any more, so I'm not going to bother with it. We will be seeing some protests from the public when we adjust these things like the taxation slider, but not much. They are demanding a salary increase, but I'm saying no, we will be increasing the value of the currency instead of increasing salaries. And I believe since the election is over, I may be able to adjust my own wage. No, we're still in election season. The president's or prime minister's wage is still too high. Thinking 2.5 million a month would be acceptable, but we'll see. That would be about 5 times more than the average government worker and about 50 times more than the minimum wage. Started at 50 million, which is way too high. Inflation is rising slowly due to the growth of the economy, so I'm gonna have to increase the interest rate again. I want it to be around 2% more than inflation. Trade balance is tanking because agriculture has no way of supporting this entire population now that people can, afford food. And exports have also tanked, and uh, productivity index, as in how productive we are per worker, has exploded. So have profits, but it's nowhere near enough to catch up to the increased demand for food. I think industry GDP, if I recall correctly, has also increased dramatically. Yes, it has increased dramatically. Farming, we increased the deforestation and pollution tax there, so it really dropped. We're waiting for the geothermal and biomass construction to go through and then switching over to building construction of houses, repair of houses actually. 1156. Huh? 1156. We might be able to, in like 20 years, fix all the houses, which is good, but I believe that it's not going to happen in 20 years. We are trying to get to have our first national spy satellite or satellite and the ability to launch them by 2034. If we maintain a 9% economic growth year to year, which we're not going to be able to do, the starting GDP of around 14 billion US dollars will be 75 by 2033, 34. So that should be quite an increase. The country is pretty calm. As soon as I say that, there's going to be a riot or something. And I officially ran out of money, so this will be my last energy drink. Must have spent like $100 in a week on energy drinks alone. It's not affordable for somebody who lives on Social Security. And kind of for the sake of argument, we will consider the military budget to be the space exploration budget because it'll all be geared towards that. Our defense budget is now 3 times higher than it should be, so we'll see. None of the ministers have complained about anything, so it seems like we're doing well. Let's hope the debt decreases so we can build a highway and a fast speed fast speed train connection between the capital and the city on the coastline where we will build a port. then we will probably continue building housing and perhaps a few more subways. This will increase our infrastructure quite a lot. It will make us at least somewhat able to cope with the requirement to be green, which is the current ideology. Still think we should build artificial trees instead of try to slow down the production of CO2. But yes, I know it's a bad idea, but we will do it anyway. It's gonna take ages. Now the budget estimate comes in. Well, how did we do? Ooh, nice cash surplus.
Good news. I'll find
Drop this by 2 points. Should be enough. Screw you guys, I'm gonna veto that one. This is going well. Do we have the workers to build infrastructure? No, we need to wait for the housing repair to come through. Yes, we're protesting the VAT decrease. That seems wildly unlikely, but we'll allow it. Build the port and the train connection first, then increase the healthcare spending. Thinking of which city to connect. It's probably gonna be this one, which means I need 2 connections. That one's closer. Might be better because it might be easier for trans-Indian Ocean traffic. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I believe the transport can be built now. Yes, it can. So port, expensive as hell. Here. And then high-speed train network here, here. This will completely tank our economy again, but at the very least, we will have some sort of transport system. We might be getting a minor debt this cycle because of these expensive reforms. Healthcare is expensive as hell. E775. That was, yeah, around 800 billion. No noticeable changes. Then it's gonna report hopefully on the train network and also say no noticeable changes. No report on how good the thing was, the train connection. How much is our debt? That's what I thought. Jumped like a maniac. Sorry guys, gonna have to increase this, which is gonna cause something of an upset. It's gonna cause a huge amount of rioting again, and then we're gonna be stuck with handling the riots for a couple of months.
We are in a dead end.
Funny that that was invented way before this game was made.
Yeah, both.
We're gonna end up getting like 5 trillion more in debt just to finance the train and port. But we need the connections. Thank you, Awilton. Do we now have immigration because we have international connections? No. Oh, I thought that was Poland.
Your city.
I do not believe we would be spending 20 trillion to build a port. Perhaps some amount would be spent, but that seems wildly large for a nation like this. No, 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 no. Let's try 400. That's too low. Okay, that's acceptable.
Sure.
Here's your coffee. Seems like the remaining alternative energy generation sites were finished. Or were they all finished? No, but pretty close. I think I'm gonna build uh, one offshore wind or onshore wind, one geothermal, one biomass, and one hydroelectricity at the same time consistently. Solar is already high enough, so no need for that. Since wind is smaller than solar, a small amount of its production as well is good, and the rest require quite an investment to make them rainbow-like. But these are just ugh. Oh, I got something. The nuclear bomb. This one will remain under a patent, not a will not be publicly available. They consider the bomb technology to be military.
Good morning.
Let's go with 8. Nice. And there's your coffee. Strikes are over. These guys will soon need to be having the police intervene, then they're gonna throw a tantrum, and then the military is gonna intervene. Then the country is gonna explode, then we're gonna have a emergency state and a military martial law, then we're gonna have a removal of the martial law and keeping the emergency state not to have the riots expand. And then we're gonna wait for a while, and then the riots are gonna be over, and then we're gonna remove the martial law. And yes, at this point we send in the army because those were too expensive, and it might calm the situation down. We're gonna get the results of the budgetary increase of the next month.
We are in the dead end. This person.
No. So that was a minor thing, it seems. Might not stand into the whole country even. Yeah, it seems to have expanded. You have 1 day to calm it down. Okay. Hump you and hump your collagen too.
It stopped.
Okay, so it spiked, but it seems to be gone down. Let's wait until the start of next month. We have some more important data coming in.
It's
No discernible change. So we're gonna have to invest even more in that. There should be a slider or an info bar here that is like commute time or something. Wait until around the 10th day. Then we'll lift the emergency status as well. Perhaps we should have just built the port and not the train, or the train and not the port. But both of them and the healthcare at the same time seem to be too expensive. Seem to have something of a true downside. At least we are getting something done. Good. This is also pretty good. It is actually nice enough to take a holiday. Maybe they'll add me in time. next death and snap is gonna come in. It's gonna look absolutely horrifying.
Morning. Sure.
Periodic door cleaning. That reminded me one moment.
Salut. Heroes are good. Heroes to take place next week.
Perhaps we weren't talking about trains that go 300 miles an hour, but trains that are the regular kind that could be connected to every city at the cost of building one of those 300-mile connectors. So perhaps this is something where the Ministry of Transport can take the fall. Rarely allow them to take the fall for the government, but considering the transport thing being stuck, not being able to build highways, this might be a good thing to, have someone other than, the person claim the responsibility. At this point, we should build this. It's about right. This was the tram site building, which also spiked the GDP. Still no discernible change. If there's any change, there's the slightest decrease in the increase rate, which is not enough. It seems like everybody will be getting a house pretty soon. Seems like the interest rate to inflation ratio is about right. I think I might play until the next budget review comes in. should reduce the electricity consumption.
Good morning. Sure. We are in a dead end. Good morning. Sure.
understand the protests against increasing the pollution and deforestation taxes, but this is a biodiverse tropical paradise, and I'd like to keep it as such.
We are in the dead end. That isn't yet to be a bit. We are in the dead end. We are in the dead end. We are.
I'll play until the next budget review comes in and then ponder for a while what to do next before we build a communications base, which will be needed for the satellite transfer as well as beneficial for controlling air traffic and making sure that people who cross into our airspace have to pay for crossing into our airspace. You know, the general jazz. We will need to complete the high speed train network between all the major cities, or at the very least between capital and most cities.
ไม่เกิด
This is a pretty persistent uprising. Must be a pretty big deal for the locals to be able to,
budget deficit.
build polluting industries and cut down the forest like everybody else. They don't really react well to being told,
We are in the dead end.
to be
We are in the dead end.
green before others are able to do so. The GDP per capita is growing nicely, and I like the fact that a lot of these guys are coming to make trade deals.
Morning. We are in the dead end. That isn't really the case. In everyone's eyes, you're the one who is possible. Sure. I am an expert. ERE. You take place next week. You want to attend soon?
So that was a celebratory riot. So wait until the 10th, then we'll lift the emergency state. Wait maybe 5 to 10 days, and then say, that's a pretty good figure. Okay. Nice. Mhm. Start research for the first satellite. I know, but you do know that as well as I do that if we get 1.5 trillion every 3 months in surplus, it's not actually a deficit. No idea why it reports a deficit. Perhaps we should discuss this with the bank. You wanna go, you can go. Yeah, that's about it. Got a little bit further. Still didn't have any kind of effect on the HIV pandemic. So we will place the police, education, and healthcare budgets at the same level in terms of the STARS thing, and we will place them at the level where the HIV pandemic is controlled, and all other indicators are going towards the positive. I believe the police indicators are doing fine, but there's a few things I want to check. Squarely 0. This is about to be better than what we started with. I think this has slowed down marginally. Still slowly improving. That's because the value of the currency is improving, so I think so that will also improve. No change in this. These might have gone a little bit higher or a little bit quicker. Yeah, that seems about right. So that's about it for this timeline. I'll continue in a few days, and I'll probably increase the uh, uh, healthcare funding first, and then perhaps the education funding. I won't build more of those subways and high-speed trains until I get the GDP to debt ratio to perhaps below 50. That seems about right. And we can't build the launch site and the communication center until we have the infrastructure to support it. I hope the satellite thing worked. So that's it for this one. Thank you.